reassembled. And it was brought over here in the 1800s, again by the same priest that built Kilcommon. He purchased it in Wales, had it shipped into Limerick docks, and the local people here from Rearcross carted it in sections from Limerick docks to here on horses and carts. And it was reassembled here on the site that you see. And Tommy Russell here just informs me that the Flannerys that owned the pub here at the time of the attack, Father Austin Flannery, the Dominican priest and writer, he was actually a member of that family. So that's one of the things I love about these days, that everyone has a bit of information that we can share, and we all contribute to the sum of knowledge. So with that, I'll hand you over for military matters to Sean.
The barrack here in Rearcross, as John has given you the ballad here, the barrack RIC, was this end of the building here was the barrack. This end here was Flannery's pub and shop and general grocer. This was in the summer of 1920, then was the period of the barrack attacks. In contrast with Bursalee was an outlier when it happened. But what happened here in the night of 12th of July 1920 would have been a classic of the barrack attacks. As I said, the likes of Ryan Lacken and a handful of others from around here had toured all over South Tipperary. Anywhere there was a barrack, Drangan, various places, back to Kilmallock, they'd been involved in all these barrack attacks. And there were a number of them back over along as well. Cheverai, there was a couple of attempts. You talked, John, about Michael Small was killed going back down after an attempt on that one. And on Saturday night it took place, the barrack attacks took place. So the IRA would assemble in a village somewhere and decide to attack the barrack. Hollyford further down had been attacked. But the tactic for attacking a barrack like this was, the weak thing here was the weak part of the thing was the roof of the building, because John spoke about this defence of the barrack sergeant, and that was the tactic. As they got into their barracks, they got ex-army officers who were used to either, to set up defensive position. How do you set up defensive position? He cleared all the bushes and all the things around here that would have provided cover for attackers, front or rear. There was talk that there was landmines had been laid around the barracks. They cut loopholes the way they could fire out the defence. So he generally improved the sort of things, and he had no policing role, the defence of the barrack sergeant, except when the barrack came under attack, to take the charge of the defence. And that's what the Sergeant John Stokes set about doing. Because the IRA turned up in large numbers here at the night. Now, they didn't just turn up in the night. There was a complication, as always, in the military plan. The attack was set for the Saturday night, but there was a row again over the issue here, and the Dunena people, they didn't have not planning permission, didn't have permission to carry out the attack here. And so the attack had been put back a night. And in fact, it was Early O'Malley made the decision as a national officer that he was in a position to order this attack to go ahead, whereas the people in Dunena hadn't sanctioned the attack. So that delayed things for a night, and it turned out the following Sunday night was a bit like last night, a wet and windy night, a bad night really for the purpose they hadn't had. But what they'd done, they blocked the roads to Limerick, the roads going back down here south, the roads going back here, and the roads going back to Nenagh. And so you get large numbers of IRA men would have been involved in the operations to block those. And they set up usually with a few shotguns at those, so they'd fire a few shots if anyone came, if military came or anything like that. So this is a perfect place, because this is an isolated barrack. A lot of the other ones are very close. We'll be in Bursacane later today, but we're close to Burr Military Barracks and Neela Military Barracks and places like that. A place like this was just about as good as it got in terms of targeting a barrack. So you had, I don't know, maybe 100 IRA men all up here on Saturday night, again from all over. The South Tip fellows were here, the whole lot of them came. This was the return invite, Lacken return invitation. He'd been off all over the place, so he invited people back here to come to his local one, to attack his local barrack. And I don't want to make it sound like a Saturday night sport, but to a certain extent there was an element of that about it. This is what was going on. So they come in here, into Flannery's pub, go in, bring in their fuel. They brought the fuel from Upper Church that they were going to use to burn it. Brought that along, go in, get up out into the roof of this deck here we're seeing, and then start to break in the roof here. The sergeant's inside, here's the hammering going on, and makes his fatal mistake. He comes out to the door with his rifle to see what's happening. He looks out, comes out here to that porch here, comes out, turns back up around to have a look. And there was, despite the cover being taken away, there was a group of IRA men just over here, 50 yards. And they opened fire on him and shot him, and he was shot dead there. Now his colleagues succeeded in pulling him back into the building, but he died inside. He was Sergeant John Stokes. He was from Newry in County Cork, where he's from. had been an officer in the British Army during the Great War and was back home, and so he was killed. That was in July 1920. But the barrack attack got going then, and of course my professional job, I work in the fire service, and we have a very simple rule of thumb. Fire spreads upwards in seconds, sideways in minutes, downward in hours. So they were trying to set fire to the roof of the barrack in the hope that the fire would spread down into the building down below. But this is a slow and a tedious job, and a difficult job. And to use the blocks of the chimneys, those walls in fact went up inside the building. So the fire spread along a bit, came to a wall and stopped. So then they were trying to use these Dobie. They had a little stick of jelly knife, half stick of jelly knife with Dobie, and it tried to stick it onto the roof to blow off slates so that we could get some of the petrol or paraffin that they were using to try and get it in. So it was a slow and a tedious job. This went on for hours on a wet and windy night. And of course the RIC who were inside weren't sparing it at the time. They were firing out. And the other thing they were doing, because they had shutters in all the windows, steel shutters on the windows and doors, they had hand grenades. So periodically they'd throw a hand grenade out and see what had happened. And several of the IRA men were wounded by splinters from some of those hand grenades being fired. And the flames were swirling back around them. The guys, particularly up on the roof, were particularly vulnerable, and some of them got burned reasonably badly in hands and whatever. So that was the attack on the barrack in Ray. Went on for 4, 5, 6 hours probably here, and they didn't succeed in capturing the barrack. They didn't succeed in capturing any of the weapons, John, despite what the ballad says are all of them. Stokes was the only casualty that they actually had. And eventually, now the state till morning, normally the IRA would be gone well before morning came and got away home about their business and dissipate and disappear. But the barracks was burning here, and really it was a propaganda victory for the IRA is what it was. So the barrack they didn't lose, all they did was occupy the other half of the building here. They moved in here, cleared Flannery out of the building, moved in here and made that into the barracks. So the RIC didn't go here out of Rearcross as a result of the attack. So that's how the attack, and that was a pattern that was repeated. Not all over the country, but in parts of the country, that particular pattern. So that was the barrack attack in Rearcross, commemorated in ballad. As at all the events we're talking about here, the word of mouth was great. The word of mouth was, it wasn't so much the independent was coming down here, it was whatever the word was spreading around on the people here. So the story got better, of course, bigger and better every time it got told, no doubt about them. But yeah, it would have been probably about 12, 14 RIC men, John, inside it. I think, we have the list of names, I think, of the people who were here at the time and the thing. So that was the barrack in Ray. Any questions? Or
just Sean mentioned about the attack being postponed because of permission had been granted by the brigade headquarters for North Tipperary, and if you like, the attack on the barracks here, as Sean explained, it was very much Paddy Ryan Lacken's baby. He was the driving force behind the attack here. He wanted this attack to take place on his home turf, but because it eventually went ahead against the orders of the brigade headquarters in Nina, a bit of a spleen developed between Sean Gaynor and Paddy Ryan Lacken. And it was actually in an effort to heal things and to try and get things back on a level footing that Sean Gaynor sometime later came up to Newport to meet with Paddy Ryan Lacken and to more or less get Paddy Ryan Lacken more or less back under brigade control. Paddy Ryan Lacken was disillusioned with North Tipperary Brigade at that stage and was spending a lot of his time working with the East Limerick lads.
Yeah. As was Pat Starr.
Pat Starr and himself both were very involved in East Limerick at that stage.
Ginny Hayes as well, I think, a lot of time.
But Gaynor came up in an effort to try and build the bridges again. And on that day that Gaynor came up to Newport, that gave rise to one of the next instances we're actually going to be talking about, where Gaynor and Lacken and a few other lads were meeting in a house in Newport, and word came to the house that Sergeant Biggs was gone driving for the afternoon, and the decision was made that they were going to mount an ambush for Biggs, and we'll be coming to that shortly as we move down to Newport.
Just John mentioned Downey O'Malley. I suppose, to illustrate how big an operation it was, Seamus Robinson was involved in this, Sean Hogan was involved in it. You know, if you read through Robinson's statement, he talks quite a bit about the attack of the barracks of Rearcross, he does, but he also uses, but not so much his statement, but a lot of his letter writing, his acrimony with Dan Bryan. In Bryan's book, Bryan mentions himself as being a participant in the attack, and Robinson refused to that, he did, you know, and that fueled to the acrimony that was to develop between them in later years, you know. So I suppose all the evidence would point to the fact that Dan Bryan wasn't here. It was actually in Dublin when the attack was mounted in the barracks here. So just you know, another sideshow, I suppose, that goes on through all of these things. You know, like you know, people would ask how come with the man Paddy Staff and how would they end up in Killinshrahala, you know, down in the Limerick border, you know, and how come was Paddy Rylacka down in Kelly, you know, the day that the four men were killed down there. So there's a reason for all of these things, you know, and you know, much of that stemmed from the decision to mount the attack here, you know. So.
Okay, with that we'll go and eat, I suppose, and you can have a bit of a break before we resume for more.
Man, John.